With the magical girl genre, I don't have much experience with it. Saw a few shows like Cardcaptor Sakura and Sailor Moon, but barely remember anything about either. And then there's Madoka. I'm just gonna leave this image here. You're welcome. I didn't actually try to play the first game, but thanks to Persona 5, I was severely burnt out on school RPGs for a few years. I still plan on beating it, but then Koei Tecmo sent me a code for the sequel, one that tries to take the series in a bit of a new direction. The story is about a high schooler named Al, who while walking home, goes back to get her phone she lost, only to suddenly end up in a whole new world with a few other girls there as well, and she later finds out how they all lost their memories, barring their names. Stuck in this world and now rocking a new ring, they eventually discover through the aid of a mysterious app that their emotions can grant them power, thus turning them into reflectors in order to tackle the demons on their tail. With these newfound abilities, they initially seem fine just trying to survive, tackling things bit by bit, but the urge to recover their memories grows strong enough to investigate these mysterious areas to learn more about their past, what brought them here, and what creatures want to break through their dimension. There is of course a lot more to the story than I'm letting on, especially with characters from the first game and even the anime coming in. And with those reveals, it can be easy to get lost in the plot. The beginning is probably at its worst, as it will often show flashback to events that likely would have worked better if done more naturally. Yet as someone who barely even did a few hours of Game 1, I was able to settle in, especially as the story works slowly, focusing on showcasing each of the girls' personalities and how they became reflectors in the first place. As such, it feels more relaxed in a good way, showing how even if their tales lack an antagonist compared to say Persona, these events are still important and demonstrate a lot of good storytelling, even if the presentation isn't as strong as it could be. Though I still like some of the boss designs at least. The gameplay though seems to take elements from the Atelier series with crafting and gathering materials to create new items. This mostly includes healing or stat boosting items, or using materials to gain permanent stat increases thanks to building facilities. Said facilities can then be used to date each character, to boost their TP level in order to learn new skills, and of course show some Yuri teasing. The dates themselves, at first I struggled to even call them that, have you and the girl of your choice walk to a location at the pace of the actual plot, and there are some optional things you can interact with for more dialogue, though I usually just hit right on the D-pad to teleport me there ASAP. Later on, they perform the forbidden lewd action of hand-holding, all to grow stronger as they learn new moves and stat buffs. Jokes aside, it's a nice way to get to know the characters and is easily the highlight of the game, especially when paired with the story. You can even get equipable items called fragments to further augment your team's fighting power. That said, with all the different ways you can buff your characters, the balance, well...
Wait, what? Oh god! Oh, my back just snapped like a pack of uncooked spaghetti!
Yeah, basically that, though not at first. The combat can be a bit hard to explain, especially in this format, and it may even look complicated, but it's easy to settle into after a chapter or two. Unlike the first game, the characters don't start off transformed. Think of it like fighting in their civilian form on Power Rangers before the morphing sequence starts. As you take actions, the number next to their faces increases. In a way, it works like riding a bicycle, as you take your time to slowly build up speed before finding a natural flow. Each level grants new attacks and eventually triggers a transformation into their magical girl state to really lay on the hurt. At first, you may hardly be able to trigger this state in a regular fight, unless it's a really tough one, but as you level up, equip gear, learn certain talents, you could find yourself later starting with the transformations and then learn more advanced techniques, like the one-on-one battles, which will test your timing, and oh so worth it when you can land that finishing move. Now, if only I didn't have the reaction speed of a snail. And sadly, the story isn't the only slow thing. Dungeons are fairly basic, not much to them. You might get a puzzle, and I struggle to even call them that, but they mostly serve to either get from point A to point B, or to gather materials to build more stuff. And because these areas are connected to the emotions of the girls, sometimes they can open up new areas for new items, or Al can just make some items to bash a wooden fence for certain spots. I'll just ignore that's not how you use a saw. However, there are certain spots where traversal can grind to a halt. While these can be sped up with the run button, it feels like padding. These are made worse with stealth sections. You only seem to get one that's mandatory thankfully, but the rest are in all the side quests. The issue is how they feel foamed in, with the design of the area not lending itself well to these places, and sometimes hilarious how many bosses and crates just appear out of nowhere for your convenience. But back to the balance of the game. It's easily breakable because of all the upgrades like the dating and facility building. You're unlikely to make any new items beyond materials for building a base, since I could sneeze at a boss and they would crumble to dust. By Chapter 8, I was regularly killing enemies and barely losing HP until reaching the final boss, and even then, items I created through side quests were able to keep me healed. And because the transformations were now triggering at the start of a fight, letting me go all out ASAP, I realized my pursuit of Yori created more dangerous beings than God himself. If the game at least let me access the harder difficulties right away, there'd be little issue. But you gotta beat the game to access both hard and must die. A standard run should take about 20 hours, but even then, since I am more of a story person, always doing the side quests and dating and not knowing this information before writing this review, it leaves me irritated and might push others away, especially those that prefer gameplay over story. Now, I realize this can be a problem with some other RPGs, doing the side quests and being way overpowered, but I assure you, the gap in difficulty is so much more apparent when on normal. The final verdict for Blue Reflection Second Light is cautious price drop and for story people only. Due to the requirements for getting those extra difficulties and how much of a cakewalk the overall experience was, I think I can only recommend this to those who play RPGs for mostly the plot. I'm fine with that since, well, look at this channel, but others may not embrace it due to some of these dated elements and I can't really blame them. Also, cautious price drop since, the first game is super hard to get a physical copy nowadays. Kinda regretting giving that one to a friend who got snapped by Thanos and has yet to return. That said, I do plan on giving both this and the first game a full review, and certainly not because Koei Tecmo gave me the Ultimate Edition for this game, and definitely not because Yaiba from that crappy Ninja Gaiden spin-off is in the same room as me, watching me as I edit this. That would be ridiculous. I'm the smartest moron, and send help, please, for the love of God, send help. He won't leave me alone. He keeps trying to get me to review his game and say positive things about it. I just can't.